All right, welcome. This is a first video in a series. Hopefully just two. I'm going to be focusing on interfaces. It's going to be illustrating a little about polymorphism as well. So first I'm going to take you through a set of classes that I've already created. And we're going to be simulating an ATM machine here, okay? So I just got an ATM machine. And I got my constructors for my ATM machine. Basically, what I'll be able to do is I'll be able to make a deposit, and I'm going to make a withdrawal. Okay. So what's important about here with this structure is that I'm going to be doing notifications on stuff. So a lot of this has to do with event handlers. That's the second video in this series. And but I'm going to show how it can be used or how it can be implemented better using interfaces. So first we need to get familiar with our ATM class and our other classes. So when I have my withdrawal, it's going to give me a certain amount back when I make a withdrawal. Here, what I've decided to do is I'm going to say, this is my customer attempting to make a withdrawal from this ATM, and this is how much cash I want to withdraw. So what we want to do is, if that cash is too large, if it's a suspicious amount, then I'm going to notify the customer of the suspicious activity. So the customer has a method on it called onNotify, and it just takes a single parameter like this. So my customer is a person. So if I go to my person class, you see that my person, I have this method right here onNotify. And you can imagine that in the real world, it might be they have a phone or an email system or something like that, where they would get this notification of this particular message. And so in this case, I just print it out. So I'll put this person notification, and then I'll just say what the notification is when the person gets this notification. Then what I'll do is I'll make sure, like a real ATM, I get how much money is in the account's balance. And if that person has not enough money, then I'll notify that customer that the account doesn't have enough money. Okay, they have a low balance rather. If the amount of cash, actually I want to do it this way. If the person account is less than a low amount, then I'm going to say that the person's account is as a low balance. Okay. And then what I'll do is that if the cash that they're trying to withdraw is more than what the person has, then I'll say your account is overdrawn. I'll notify the customer the account is overdrawn, and they'll only be able to withdraw the amount of money that's in that person's account. And then finally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to see how much money is in this ATM. So they're at this cash machine. And if they're trying to withdraw too much money, if the ATM machine only has 50 bucks left, then they're only going to be able to withdraw 50 bucks. And if I don't have enough money in my ATM machine, then I'm going to notify the banker, hey, I need more cash. Okay, so I got this banker, and the banker is established up here in my ATM machine. Okay, when I create my ATM machine, the banker's a person, and I fill it with a certain amount of money in the beginning. So that's kind of what my ATM machine does. Obviously, I have a deposit too, and if I deposit something and I want to tell the banker that there's too much money, I might go to my banker and just say onNotify too much cash in the ATM. Okay, and then it's up to the banker to go ahead and figure that out. So my main method here, we're just going to focus on, I create a banker, and I give him a name, Joe Banker. I'm going to create an ATM machine, okay, and I set my ATM machine at $6,000, and I set my banker, and then I got a new guy, Mr. Stride. He's a class right here. Mr. Stride has his own class because there's more than one Mr. Stride. I got my brothers and my dad. And so they have a name, and they just extend the person class, okay, so we're using some polymorphism here. And so I take Mr. Stride, and Mr. Stride is going to withdraw $800. So if I run this guy, hopefully this works. I run this guy. Okay, so first thing that happened is $800. That's a lot of dollars. So my person got notified of suspicious activity. Okay, And then not only that, but I didn't have enough money, so my account was overdrawn. Now, if I make my bank, my ATM machine have only $600 and I run again, then I got another person notification right here, need more cash. And that's because the ATM machine doesn't have enough money in it, okay? And so then it also says, well, I guess it said the same thing as before. So here's the thing. I've got this banker, and I've got this person, and I got this Mr. Stride. And when I look at my ATM machine, it just deals with a person. And really what I want to do is I kind of want to distinguish. Now, not every person has the capability of being a bank manager, but some people do. And also, when I'm withdrawing money from an account, maybe I don't want to notify the same person that is withdrawing the money. Maybe I want to identify or notify like the parent of that person. And furthermore, let's say that that I wanted to create a trust account, okay? So I'm going to create a trust account. So I'm just going to go up here and paste in some of this code here again. And so all this stuff works great when I'm dealing with people. But what if I want to create a trust account? Now, trust is not a person at all, right? It's just a trust. And then, but a trust can have an account. So what do I do if I want to withdraw from the trust account? What can I do? So in comes interfaces. And interfaces is basically going to allow me to associate behavior with objects and allow me to create methods that are based on behavior instead of the inheritance of that object. So what is an interface? Well, an interface is just a class. So if I want to do a trust, I'm going to say a trust and a person, they can both have an account. So I'm going to call them Bankable. So I'm going to create an interface called Bankable. And that means that if anything is bankable, that means it can have an account. Okay, I just made this up. And so if any object can have an account, then it must have this behavior of being bankable. And therefore it will have this method to get account number. So let me go to person. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that this implements bankable. Okay. This person has a behavior called bankable. Now I get this error over here because I haven't implemented the method that's in the bankable account. So what I did here is I do get my account number, and for now I'm just going to generate. I'm just going to say every person at this moment has the same bank account number. In real life, of course, I would make that different according on the person's name, right? But right now, this person is bankable. And if I go to my trust account is not a person, but I can also make my trust account bankable. And then I can implement the method bankable. And I'm just going to return, 987, or 987, apparently. And so now my trust account is bankable and my person is bankable. So when I go to my ATM machine, what I can do now is I'm going to basically take the same stuff here and I'm going to scroll down to this other method down here. It's the same thing, but instead of taking a customer, I'm going to take something that is bankable. This customer right here, okay, is bankable. And then instead of notifying the customer that there's suspicious activity, I'm going to notify somebody that is notifiable. I'm going to notify somebody that is notifiable. So my person is also going to be notifiable. And notifiable is another interface, and it's just like a class. But what's different about this class and other classes? There's no implementation. So right here, it's just a semicolon. Normally we would have a curly brace and we'd implement the method. In this case right here, I'm saying that there's this behavior that if you're notifiable, you implement this method on notify. So on my person, I'm saying you're notifiable, and that's right here. So now I am overriding this method, and this is my notifiable method. Okay, that's my notifiable method, and right down here, this is my bankable method. I'm going to say methods because I can have more than one method in something. So now my person is bankable and notifiable, whereas my trust, it's not a person, it's only bankable. So when I go back into my main, I can go here and let's see if I have to save my code here. My person is all these things. And now what is this saying? It's saying that ATM machine is not applicable for the arguments. Oh, because I forgot. It's a bankable. I need a notifiable. So a notifiable, if I put trust here, like that won't work. So I'm going to say for the trust, we're going to do stride. Stride has the trust. So now I can do this here. So instead of coming and I'm going to move this down here. Oh, and I'm going to do, no, I'll just comment this out. I don't want any notifications to come up there. So does this work? Did I get rid of my method? Yes. Let me run this guy. Null pointer exception. Ooh, what happened there? Well, I said my trust was bankable. I said Mr. Stride was notifiable. What happened? So what happened is that main, it went into ATM machine at 85 right here, and it said 85 that the manager, it tried to know, oh, because what I did was I said that I don't want just a banker to be any person now. Instead, I want a banker to have, it could be a person, but I want that person to have the bank manager capabilities. So what I'm doing is I created a new interface called Bank Manager. And a bank manager, I can notify the manager, or if I want, I can text the manager with like some extra key in there that I wanted with some string and text in there. So I've added this other interface that's a bank manager, and I created a class called did I create a class? Oh yeah, I created a responsible person. A responsible person that is also a bank manager. And this person can have an account, right? And this person is notifiable as well. These interfaces can come from the person interface, but what I'm doing is I'm going to override these methods and I'm going to put them in here so that I'm notifiable. I can get an account, I can notify my manager, and I can get a text message here. So I'm going to create a responsible person to be my bank manager. So when I go back to my main, that I need to create my ATM machine like this way. So I'm going to go responsible it's going to be my manager is a new responsible person with a cool name. And then here, I'm going to put in my manager. And it's going to give me another error message here. And here it says it's ambiguous. And the reason it's ambiguous is because of my ATM machine. I also allow a person or a bank manager to come in here. And so what I'm going to do for now is I'm just going to comment out this right here. I don't want that constructor anymore. I'm just going to have my ATM machine that takes a bank manager. So now I got my bank manager, and then here, now this error went away because there's only one constructor that takes a bank manager. So I no longer need this Joe Banker guy. He's just a person. So I got a responsible person that is all these different things, and he is going to be my bank manager. And then over here, I'm going to withdraw money from my trust. I'm going to notify Mr. Stride, and if there's some over withdrawal, then I'm going to call the responsible bank manager guy. So when I run here, so I got my person notification suspicious activity. Your account is a low balance. Your account is overdrawn, and then the responsible manager sees the message, need more cash, because that was the notification that I had in the bank, in the ATM machine. So you see that down here when I am going to my my customer and my notifiable, that if I need to notify that they need more cash, I just put more cash and I notify my manager right here. So what interfaces allow me to do is they allow an object, like a trust, to have a behavior that is bankable. But it does not extend the person object. I can have a person object that is bankable and notifiable, right? But it does not implement the bank manager capabilities. And then I can have a responsible person that extends the person and then has all these things. Now, because it extends person, it means also that I get everything from person for free. So in person, notice that I get bankable and notifiable. So if I wanted to, and I will just to show you, if I wanted to, I could take out the bankable and notifiable here and leave in only bank manager, because clearly if I'm a person, I get those things. And then a person had a bankable and a notify. So I'm going to get rid of those right there. And now when I run that, that person, which is bankable and notifiable, is going to take the methods that are implemented here. If I override them in my responsible person class, then they would come in here. So this override here is a way that says that I know that I'm creating a method that may already be implemented by my base class. In this case, it's in an interface, so it's not implementable or implemented in the base class. But this just lets it know that I'm going to implement something that is in my interface or in my base class. So that's it for interfaces. And the important part here is that an interface is just like a class, but it has no implementation. An object, or another class can extend a class and implement different and yet multiple interfaces. And these interfaces act just like classes. So when I'm down in here, I don't even really think of these as anything other than a class. It's a class that has methods on them, and I just call them. So I have a customer. Oh, let me go down further. I have a bankable customer. This is an interface, but I just treat it like an object. I have a notifiable, which is an interface, but I just treat it like an object. So this object here, I just call the method on it. So that's where we get the interfaces. Now, and we're going to move forward in here, and we're going to talk about how, now that we have these interfaces that do notification, we're going to talk how we can hook up notifications in a different way.